Hey guys, MD Prepper here. Next part of the packable first aid survival kit for general purposes. Let me open up with trauma shears, which I did not include in the last heavy bleeding video, the quick clot and all that. I think these are great. You gotta have these in your kit, in my opinion. Are they absolutely necessary? No, they're not absolutely necessary, but I've used these enough times to know I want to have a pair. So, if you're in the hospital, if you're a doctor, if you're dealing with stuff in the ER, you know, staff in the ER, that type of stuff, you gotta have a pair of these because you're gonna need them at some point. Little plastic tip on them so you don't jab yourself when you're, or your patient, when you're trying to cut off clothes, that sort of stuff, just to get access. I think this is worth the price. A few bucks a piece. Get them at anywhere that sells medical supplies, you know, scrub shops, you know, places that sell clothing for nurses, stuff, you know, stuff like that. A few bucks a piece. I think I paid $2-3 for these. I don't know how much they're running these days. I've got a bunch of pair of these. This is one of the ones that I've never really used, but I keep that in my kit. So, sad bitch that. Should have done it in the last kit. Didn't, so there it is. Now, moving on to basic first aid, little minor wound care type stuff, okay? This is what every little cheap Walmart and any kind of store tries to sell you. You don't need as much as they have for sale. This 100-piece kit, quote, is entirely too much, as you heard me rant about the last time. This basic kit is based on this little dollar kit that I got at Dollar Tree. Now, I pulled almost everything out of it just because I wanted to use the case. So, case works well. I think this is a decent size overall. You see that there, lightweight, etc. If you want to keep this thing tighter, you know, I'd put some rubber bands around it because this thing's packed pretty tight. It could pop open on you and spill some contents, but not if you pop it, you know, pack it right. So here we go. Now, some of this stuff I'm not going to go over because we've already talked about it. This is my little pill packet here with all the good stuff that you've seen before. Don't want to talk about that. Your antihistamine for allergies, your Benadryl for allergies. I need something better for this, but this is the Aspirin Tablets I'm carrying. I think this is 6 of the little baby aspirins in a little tinfoil wrap. Tinfoil works fine. Don't use plastic in my opinion, because if it does happen to melt, you know, you got something that's going to adhere to the plastic. I found that out the hard way, but I need a better kit for this. Could put it in here, but I've got my little multi-mix of pills in there for right now, so nah, just threw that in there. Now, some of you may say, well, I'm not elderly, I'm not over the age of 50, I don't think I'm going to need to worry about heart attacks. Yeah, you may not, but if you're on the trail and somebody else has a heart attack, they're going to thank you for having some aspirin around. So, that's that. Alka-Seltzer, like we talked about. Now, the biggest part of the inside of this kit, triple antibiotic little tube right here. I got this at Dollar Tree for $1, though I found I screwed up. Get the exact same thing at Walmart, Wally World, for 88 cents. There's a small section at my local Walmart for 88-cent gear. It's basically the medical kit stuff they keep at Dollar Tree for $1. So that's not a huge, tremendous saving. What is that, 12 cents? This is okay. This is not a lot of triple antibiotic. It's 0.33 ounces or 9.35 grams. But basically, it's your standard triple antibiotic. Could you carry these little packets like in my survival kit that I bought, my first aid kit, these little individual uses? Yeah, you could. I'd rather have a lot of it. This does not weigh anything. This is 0.9 grams per packet versus 9.35 grams. You could treat a lot more wounds with this. Are you going to need that? Not necessarily, but for the price, that's what I would use. You're going to have to probably fold the ends up here a little bit, you know, compress it down a little so it's going to fit in the pack here. But for 88 cents, it's expendable. So, you know, keep it in there. If it ever breaks open or pops open or wears itself out, for the price, it's worth it. These little individual packets, they're fine. I would say 2 of these is not enough. I'd say 4 to 6 of these in your pack. You can use those too. I like the little tube. It's able to deal with, you know, scrapes and bumps and that type of stuff a lot easier because it's got a lot more of it. What else I keep? I call prep pads. 3-4 of these in there. You can get these from Dollar Tree for, I think it's a 100-pack for $1. Something like that. But anyway, I call prep pads. Always useful. You can use them for insect bites. I'm going to do other videos on that, but you get bit by ants or stung by something, you know, slather the stuff with, slather the area with alcohol pad. It's going to neutralize that to some decent effect. You can, of course, use alcohol prep pads for fire starting, but whatever. 2 is 1, 1 is done. I have taken out almost all of the bandages in this. I don't need those little finger bandages, all that little small, little teeny tiny stuff. That's garbage. I don't need that. If I've got a wound that small, it doesn't matter. What I carry are these standard size Band-Aids. These are 4 or, well, actually I think it's 5 standard size Band-Aids that I keep in this kit. Again, this will cover a small wound just as well as a larger one, and you can use several if you need to. What else do I have in here? Again, 4 or 5, that's more than enough in my opinion. Just carry the standard size. You don't need the smaller ones, the large ones. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. Now, I got some 2x2s, 1 and 2 packs of 2x2s. 2 each. So that's 4 more 2x2s to go along with the trauma pack that I've got. Next, we got a bigger adhesive bandage. You can't see this particularly well. I'm going to try to show you. There you go. It's that long, that wide. It's pretty big for bigger type injuries. Cover things up. And importantly, here at the bottom, 2 non-adherent sterile pads. They are 2x3. So you may call them Telfa pads and all that. So once you've already treated your wound and all that, you stick this over it before you put your covering and wrapping over it, so that once you're trying to take it off and clean things, readdress the wound, it's not going to stick to the wound. So it's going to peel off real easy, not cause you pain. So all that fixed in this little small kit here, little dollar kit, that's fine. I think that's more than enough for your basic wound care kits. What you may want to throw in there as an added bonus, maybe, and I wouldn't, but those little butterflies, there you go, for pulling together small wounds, that type of stuff. I wouldn't, there's 8 in the pack here. I probably wouldn't carry more than 4 at the most. So if you got anything bigger than 2 of these, you're probably going to be able to use your standard Band-Aid. So lots of little smaller wounds, pulling stuff together. That's okay. What I would probably go for, and I don't have here with me, they're downstairs and I just didn't dig around for them, Steri-Strips. Steri-Strips are great for pulling wounds together. Probably not the best out in the field overall. They're going to go okay. You're going to need some pickups, tweezers, if you will, to apply those properly to get the right amount of tension. I did not throw that in this kit, but you could throw some tweezers in there if you wanted to. The tweezers from your Swiss Army knife are going to be fine. Now, I think all of this is perfectly fine. I don't think all of it shows up in the camera. There's more of it, I guess. You already saw it. One other thing I would recommend, not absolutely necessary, but if 1 is none, 2 is 1, isopropyl alcohol. You need something to wash out your wound. You need to sterilize this bad boy. Isopropyl alcohol is a lot more useful than hydrogen peroxide or some of your other purposes. I like hydrogen peroxide just fine. But isopropyl can be used in your camp stove, your little penny stove, Pepsi can stove, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully you're already carrying that. I almost always do. So I don't intend to keep this in the kit, in the actual bag, but it's nice as a bonus. I tend to carry these little 8-ounce bottles of isopropyl that have a little squeezy top so you can put some pressure. I think that's tremendous for washing out a wound. And you say, well, it's alcohol. It's going to hurt. It's going to burn. Who cares? Man up, okay? You're hurt already. What's a little more hurt to flush things out? I like the little squeeze top because you can just squish it out and squeeze as much as you need. Now, do you need 8 ounces for your survival kit? Absolutely not. This is way too much. But if you're carrying this for a camp stove, something like that, it's an added bonus. You're using it for camping, you're using it for cooking, and you're using it for wound care. So lots of purposes there. It's great. Small abrasions, that type of stuff is going to disinfect things just fine. Of course, you could use your little disinfectant wipes and alcohol swabs. But if you got your 4x4s or 2x2s or cotton balls, you can make one. You can make a little alcohol wipe. Put some of this in a cotton ball and rub it over the wound. You're going to be fine. It's going to do the job. So this is good. I carry these just for my camping, cooking set. You can also put it in this little smaller bottle here, a little squeezy bottle with a little flip top there that you can squish out. I would recommend this as opposed to the spray bottles and all that. You could use those, but this way you're going to be able to get some pressure and some force to flush the alcohol into the wound and flush out any kind of problems. Now, if you use this up, could you put some sterile water in this and use that to flush out the wound? Of course you could. So you got a lot of options there. Again, alcohol, isopropyl, 70% I believe. Yep. Good for wound care, great for scrapes and bruises, just sterilize things, wash your hands off, that sort of stuff. So infinite number of uses for isopropyl. Now if you had a little flask of vodka or pure grain alcohol, is that going to do the job? Yeah, it's okay. That's going to be fine too. Not that I tend to pack that out in the woods, but anyway. Last little piece of the kit. Again, we got this little small kit. Maybe the isopropyl. Don't know if we want to throw that in there or not. But whatever. One thing I would definitely carry in every kit, alcohol gel. Alcohol gel has a tremendous amount of uses. You can fire start with it. You can keep your hands clean without water, etc., etc. But we're not talking about that right now. But this is the one it's done, two is one philosophy. It's probably 3 or 4 uses for this, if not more. Beyond sanitizing your hands and all that. You could use this for wound care, okay? You could use this if you're going to try to neutralize the poison and the toxins in a bite or sting. You could put this on the wound, and the heck with the little alcohol pads is going to evaporate. It's going to stay on there if you leave it for a while, so it's going to soak into okay. Could you fill a wound with this? Is it going to hurt like heck? Yeah, it's going to burn, it's going to sting, but you're going to clean the wound out fairly well. So this is good stuff to keep around. I will keep a bottle of this, small bottle, was this 2 ounces or so? Yep, 2 fluid ounces in my survival kit. Although I typically tend to carry it outside of my kit. But, you know, we're talking about inside the pack, so that's what we're going to do. Again, the small little wound care kit is going to be more than enough to handle all your basic scrapes and bruises, all that. I got some other stuff I'm going to talk about here in the future that can also be used with this kit, but not primarily the use for it. So, you know, some ace wraps, that type of stuff. That's not primarily wound care, but you can use it for that. So we're going to talk about that later. So this is my small little minor kit. All of this junk will fit in this container, with the exception of the shears. You don't have to have those. I would say put the shears on the outside of this pack, you know, with the rubber band that you got attached around it, or cordage, whatever you've got, and put this in there too if you don't already have that somewhere else in your pack. You need some small amount of alcohol, one way or the other. Either the isopropyl in your small little container, mid-container, yes, whatever. Alright, that's all you probably need for a standard day hike for first aid, minor wound care. Indie Prepper, out.